I got a feeling I could do a whole lot more. I read up and learned the world could use a lot of healing. But what good could I be for a cleaner future that I want to choose? I got a series of events playing out in my head, all unanimous sort of brewing over how we elect, and we're fed by the seeds, a coalition of deeds that are forming a creed to help us lead a series of sustainability to help out the global economy. Responsibility that'll find us a key to Ceres. That's what I see. I see companies working out to help today with thoughts of tomorrow. It'll all be okay. So hey, policy makers, tomorrow's risk takers. Ceres is right here to say we can fight to make it right, but we'll take a breath tonight to celebrate for a moment or two. 'Cause Ceres here is leading toward a future for you, and we will get through where we are. Yeah, tomorrow's not that far away. And man, I say come what may, Ceres here is gonna help out today. I got a feeling that we're standing on a ledge between where we are and where we'll be. And man, I'm reeling, yeah, 'cause right is the cutting edge toward a brand new world that I could see. So right now we got it all together, believe in the work that it takes and what we got up our sleeve. Believe in the now better than we found that series. That's what I see. I see finally feeling like it's gonna be fine, though feeling fine is gonna take some time. It's just time, we gotta fix this mess, 'cause they're all gonna be here till we finish that test, and then we'll be making history. We can fight to make it right, but we'll take a breath tonight to celebrate for a moment or two with Ceres. We will get through where we are. Yeah, tomorrow's not that far away. And man, I say come what may, Ceres is gonna help out today. Yeah. We can fight to make it right, but we'll take a breath tonight to celebrate for a moment with me and Ceres.
Welcome to an evening with Ceres. I'm Michaela Edwards, partner at Capricorn Investment Group. Capricorn is a longtime supporter of Ceres and a member of the Investor Network. We're delighted to sponsor this broadcast and virtual networking event to celebrate Ceres, Mindy Luber, and a year of remarkable accomplishments. At Capricorn, we believe in the power of collaboration, entrepreneurship, and innovation to address the world's greatest challenges. We believe that the time for aggressive action is now. By working together, we can build a safer and more sustainable future. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoy an evening with Ceres.
Thanks, Michaela, for your welcome. And thanks to composer, performer Jacob Ryan Smith, choreographer, dancer Devon Farmer, and dancers Eugene, Kayla, and Jordan for your opening number. And thank you for joining us for Evening with Ceres. My name is Alyssa Feliciano. My day job is Manager of Talent Acquisition at Ceres, and I'm honored to be your MC this evening, coming to you live from our Boston headquarters. And we have quite a program for you tonight. You'll hear from actor and activist Alyssa Milano, and from one of the most influential women in climate finance, Ann Simpson from CalPERS. You'll see short films about Ceres' work and meet surprise special guests. Plus, we'll pay tribute to our very own Mindy Luber for receiving the world's highest environmental honor as a UN champion of the Earth. It's a lot to pack into 45 minutes, so let's get started. For those of you who are new to Ceres, our mission is simple but monumental. We work to transform the global economy to build a just and sustainable future for people and the planet. Ceres was founded in 1989 in response to the Exxon Valdez oil spill by a group of forward-thinking investors and environmentalists who had a vision for a better way of doing business. They believed that companies have a responsibility to be stewards of the environment and agents of economic and social change. Today, with more than 30 years of leadership and results, we're more confident than ever in their vision and in the business case for a clean, green future. Yes, we know there are serious challenges. We're facing a perfect storm of crises, from climate change to the COVID-19 pandemic to ongoing systemic racism and injustice. But tonight, we come together in solidarity for inspiration, celebration, and to energize ourselves for the essential work ahead. While we can't fill your glasses in person tonight, we want to fill your spirits with hope. All of you are part of the Ceres family, and we celebrate your leadership and commitment. So let's join together to make climate change history. Now, let me introduce you to my colleague, Robin Miller. We jumped on a Zoom call earlier. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Alyssa.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
It's great to be with you, virtually at least.
Yes, we're Zoom mates. Hopefully next year we'll be in the same room.
Yes, for sure. I'm already looking forward to it.
As am I. So I know you're on the water team and you currently lead the Investor Water Hub Working Group, which is, remind me, how big again?
We have over 140 institutional investors with more than 30 trillion in assets under management.
Wow, that's some serious economic muscle. And it gets to the question I often hear, why is Ceres working on water?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let me show you this little video.
Awesome, I love videos.
Water is life. Our Earth's fresh water sustains our bodies and our communities. Water is nature. It's integral to some of our most cherished places. And water is our economy. It's essential to the products we depend on, to the energy we produce, and to a thriving planet. But water is at risk. Large-scale agriculture and industry consume most of our water resources. Their waste pollutes our rivers, lakes, and oceans, and the impacts are often felt hardest on communities of color.
Water access has long been a contentious issue that pits communities against each other in a desperate fight for resources and way of life. In California, it is estimated that 1 million people do not have access to safe drinking water. The climate crisis accelerates the water crisis, and many people are left to bear the worst of it.
Scientists warn that by 2030, we'll be unable to meet over half of our global water needs. We must act fast. We must get the biggest water users and polluters to be a part of the solution. So Brooke, where did this all start?
Back in 2011, when we first started talking to companies about reducing their water footprint, no one else was talking to them about it. Now, we're publicly benchmarking the largest food and beverage companies on a regular basis, and on their water pollution and their water use. And they're starting to change.
Through our Valuing Water Finance Task Force, Ceres is bringing together some of the world's most influential investors to put pressure on the companies they own to improve their water stewardship practices, to stop polluting our water resources, and to reduce their overall water footprint. So why water? Because if we want people, our economy, and our planet to thrive, we need to protect water resources now and ensure that they meet the needs of future generations. That's what motivates me to protect water for all of us.
Robin, that was really moving.
Thanks. I really enjoyed putting it together.
I was taken by Controller Betty Yee's comments about communities fighting over water resources and the fact that 1 million Californians don't have access to clean drinking water.
I agree, Alyssa. It's not something that many Americans realize. There's water scarcity in the West, runoff from agricultural production in the heartland, and flooding and water pollution issues in the East.
When you turn on the tap and it comes out freely, it can be hard to recognize the true value.
Right. And highlighting that value of water is exactly what we're trying to do.
In that case, what's the number one priority for you and the team?
We're working to elevate the level of awareness and action around water risk with our corporate and investor communities. It's been so exciting to see nearly a dozen companies participate in our corporate water leadership program called the AgWater Challenge. And we've also helped major pension funds like HESTA in Australia develop water policies that guide their whole portfolio. Next year, we're launching our investor engagement initiative on water, and I'm confident that we'll see even more action by investors to truly value water.
That sounds terrific. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Robin.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Alyssa.
Thanks.
They say it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And the cross-cutting expertise we have at Ceres is a big reason why we can take a systems change approach to tackling global challenges like the water crisis. Speaking of teamwork, Mindy and Susan want to say hello.
Hi, Alyssa, and welcome everybody. We are delighted to gather the Ceres family together tonight.
Yes, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
We'll hear more from Mindy and Susan later in the program. As many of you know, Ceres builds leadership and generates impact working with our networks of companies, investors, policymakers, and allied nonprofits. And with over 30 years of developing those relationships, our networks are both extensive and powerful. When the pandemic hit and we all turned to screens for just about everything, our partners jumped right in with us. Here are a few of the many experts and friends who joined us virtually over the last 18 months.
Ceres has done incredible work over the last 30 years, rallying top investors and companies and making the pure business case for climate action and sustainability.
I've always thought that investors have a tremendous amount of power, and I believe in using power for good.
I'm very happy to take part in this event because I'm a great supporter of Ceres.
Oi, Ceres. Aqui é o Rinti do povo Quincede.
We got to give a shout out to Mindy and to Ceres, and to say that we need more corporations to sign up, more corporations to take the pledge.
In the long, dark night of corporate climate lobbying, there's one very bright, persistent star shining in the firmament, and it's Ceres.
Ceres has brought us together because we share the same values, and if we work hard together, we can keep the people we love healthy. We can enjoy a clean economy that works for all of us. We can once again rely on resources that are sustainable and a climate that allows our children and our grandchildren the opportunity to enjoy a better and a brighter future.
Now I'm joined live by my colleague Isabel Munilla from our Accelerator team. Isabel is in Washington, D.C. Hi, Isabel.
Hi, Alyssa. Greetings from DC. That was amazing. You know, Gene McCarthy is so right. This is simple. It's about our children and our grandchildren.
Truly. It's why I chose to join this organization and what fuels me every day.
Same here. It looks like you guys are having a good time up there in Boston.
Yes, it's certainly a celebration this evening. Are you going to change that and get all serious on us?
Unfortunately, yes. That's what we need to do.
Of course, I can't think of anything more serious than our work with financial regulators. I know you're going to tell us more about that, but I kindly request that we try to keep it as jargon and acronym-free as possible.
Well, as you know, this is a very tall order, but that's especially because we've got a lot of work underway.
I bet. Maybe you could just explain what your team does in a way everyone can understand.
Absolutely. We put together a little video for everybody. Check it out.
Transforming our economy is essential to tackle the climate crisis and to ensure a livable future for our children. And the United States should be leading the way. But the most powerful agencies that regulate our economy, like the SEC and the Federal Reserve, are only just beginning to get their heads around the systemic risk that climate change poses to our economy. But these federal agencies are not ordinary actors. They set the rules of the road for the financial markets, and they have a legal duty to protect all of us. And if we could get them to address climate risk, their actions would reverberate across the entire economy, driving capital away from the polluters of the past and into the clean energy solutions of the future. The Ceres Accelerator for Sustainable Capital Markets is helping to make that happen. Imagine a future where companies are required to report how climate change will affect their business. Imagine if the Federal Reserve, through its regulation of banks, made loans to the fossil fuel industry cost significantly more than other loans. Imagine if we could get every federal agency to integrate climate risk into their role in overseeing our economy. And this could change everything. History provides us with many examples of the power of regulation to change the world for the better. Since the 1970s, rules to protect worker safety have changed the way entire industries operate. Thanks to the EPA, we've cleaned our lakes and rivers, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. And from the global financial crisis to COVID-19, we've seen how financial regulators have the power to stabilize our economy against sudden shocks if they move fast enough. Climate change is the ultimate risk. We don't have any time to waste. If you could just do one thing that could change everything, wouldn't you do it?
Yes, let's do the thing that changes everything. I'm struck by how straightforward it sounds. Measure and disclose what matters. But we all know that with political gridlock and vested interest, it's really an uphill battle. So how are we going to get this done?
Well, the great news is that U.S. financial regulators don't need Congress. They can move now. And, while yes, the solutions are challenging, we know much more about climate risks and their devastating impacts than we ever did about the risks from the global financial crisis or COVID or crypto. And in those cases, financial regulators only came in when the big shocks hit us. So we're working very, very hard to help them deploy all the tools in their toolbox to address climate risk, but address it now.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Isabel, for making this issue so clear and compelling.
Thanks, Alyssa. See you soon.
Bye. It's a true privilege to introduce our next guest and featured speaker. My mom knows her as Samantha from Who's the Boss. My sister and I were obsessed with her as Phoebe in the original Charmed. More recently, we know her for propelling the social phenomenon #MeToo. Whether it's for her accomplished career as an actor or her storied life as an activist, Alyssa Milano is one of a kind. We're proud to have Alyssa share her story tonight.
Hello, and thank you so much for inviting me here tonight. To Mindy and Ceres for the amazing, amazing work that you do, and to each of you here for your commitment to making the planet cleaner, safer, and more equitable. Well, like many great love stories, my life as an activist started with a kiss. In the 1980s, a teenager named Ryan White contracted HIV from a blood transfusion. Ryan was a fan and wanted me to come on the Donahue Show, which was kind of like the Oprah of its day, and kiss him to prove that you can't get HIV/AIDS from casual contact. And I said yes. The fear of HIV/AIDS and the social problems it caused was nearly as deadly as the disease itself. But if fear was part of the sickness, love was part of the cure. And honestly, I've found that to be true for the last 30 years. I'll never forget visiting Angola as a UNICEF ambassador and meeting children on the very edge of starvation while Their mothers helplessly held them, victims of a civil war they had nothing to do with. I visited Flint, Michigan, and spoke with American families, almost all non-white families, of course, whose government failed spectacularly in getting them safe, clean drinking water. It's been years, and we are still failing to provide this very basic need for these good people. In 2010, I visited Kosovo. It was nearly 2 decades after ethnic cleansing and religious hatred, spurred on by greed and loudmouthed totalitarian leaders, exploded into civil war. Children there lived right next to a waste dump in poverty, and it's almost impossible for me to describe. And the ethnic hatred stoked by those incompetent and hateful leaders lingers to this day. It scares me because we didn't learn the lessons of Kosovo. It is happening again, and it's happening here. But love conquers all, and in those dark moments, I saw the true beauty of this world. I saw the human spirit rising triumphant over these challenges and the evil and greed that created many of them. People around the world joined together to help me fund dozens of clean water wells in Ethiopia, fundamentally changing life for communities in that struggled nation. I visited India shortly after the 2005 tsunami, where I saw families who lost everything, celebrating and dancing as they rebuilt their communities even stronger than before. During the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, I joined the USO for a tour and met many of our brave sailors and soldiers, airmen and Marines. They were people who were prepared to sacrifice everything simply because it was what their nation asked of them. Later, I saw many more in visits to Walter Reed Medical Center as they work to recover from their wounds in those wars. I've come to know and love business people who are transforming industries to make them more equitable, more just, and a force for all social good instead of solely a force for rich executives. These people make it impossible not to fall deeper in love with humanity every day. I believe with all my heart that if you love something, you have to fight for it. Love is a joy, but it is also a responsibility, and each one of you have that responsibility. You wield tremendous economic power. Failing to use it to make the world a better place for everyone is the worst mistake you could possibly make, morally, ethically, spiritually, and financially. But here's the good news. Just like there is no single path to love, there is no single path to activism. Everyone can do it. Each of you must do it. The thing about activism, about hearing your voice resonating out in the world, is that soon there will be other voices joined to yours. What starts as a lonely and daunting endeavor soon becomes something filled with an unimaginably vibrant and loving group of people pushing the same boulder up the hill. Some, like my friend Tarana Burke, have been there pushing, waiting for your help. Others will hear your call and join in. And it can be scary. Hell, it can be completely terrifying. Activism can be frustrating. But if you are like me, there is nothing more rewarding than knowing your acts of love make the world even just a tiny bit better. I'm Melissa Milano, and for the last 30 years, I've been trying to change the world because I love it too damn much to let it go wrong. And so do you. Let's spend the next 30 years changing it together. Thank you.
If you love something, fight for it.
Yes, that's so true. All of 150 of us at Ceres live this mantra every day. And we know all of you recognize its truth too.
Our Chief Development Officer, Susan Sayers. It's so good to be here with you.
Thanks, Alyssa. It's great to be here with you. And I also want to thank a number of people who make our work possible. As a nonprofit organization, we depend on the support of our board, our President's Council, and our many generous supporters. And we hope you'll be moved to make a gift tonight, too. And of course, we're tremendously grateful to our presenting sponsor, Capricorn Investment Group, our champion sponsors, Parnassus, Breckenridge, and Inherent, and all of the sponsors who have already made this event a great success. Let's hear from some of them.
For over 35 years, Parnassus Investments has been a leading provider of socially responsible equity and fixed income strategies.
And a special shout out to all of you watching in the Ceres Retreat Center as part of our virtual networking experience. I know you'll have a lot of fun chatting with new and old friends in one of those lounge areas. In fact, we asked one of our friends to record a virtual networking welcome, and it was so lovely we decided to share it with everybody.
Good evening. It's an honor to welcome all of you to tonight's program and to celebrate Ceres' remarkable impact over the past 3 decades. As an organization, Ceres has been steadfast and focused in its mission, fostering critical collaboration between companies and across sectors. The planet and our businesses are better for it. And under Mindy Luber's leadership, the organization has sat at the intersection of some of the most important conversations taking place to ensure a healthier, cleaner planet for all. Mindy, I can think of no more fitting title for you than Champion of the Earth. Thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your friendship. And congratulations to all of you at Ceres for your world-changing work.
What do you get when you bring together 617 global investors with a whopping $55 trillion behind them to focus like a laser on the largest corporate greenhouse gas emitters? You get some serious climate action. In fact, you get Climate Action 100+, the world's largest ever investor coalition to tackle the climate crisis. These investors are taking on the 167 companies that together account for more than 80% of global industrial emissions. And we have here tonight the woman who truly started it all, Ann Simpson. Ann is the Managing Investment Director at CalPERS, the biggest pension fund in the country. And she is also on the Ceres Board of Directors. Hi, Ann.
Hello, lovely to be with you.
Yes, it's great to have you. And Ann, I want to jump right in. We've been hearing so much about Climate Action 100+ for many years. Tell us about one of your successes. What's a story of change that you were really proud of?
The story of change here, I want to keep with that theme of love because it was so inspiring earlier this evening with Alyssa Milano. But this is tough love. This is what happens when we don't get the progress that we need. And really, the whole idea behind Climate Action 100+ is this is the people's money. This is money that belongs to everyone. This is the world's savings. It's our common wealth. And the saying goes, money talks, but money can also act. Money can bring force to bear. Money is the irresistible force when even we think we have an immovable object. So I think I would have to say this year that the most important breakthrough was at the board of Exxon. Here's one of the biggest, oldest oil companies in the world that shareholders have been calling on for many years to do better on not just climate change for its own sake, but also to bring the company back to financial health. Now, the wonderful news this year was that shareholders, having requested, ultimately did require Exxon to put more directors on the board with an energy background, with experience in renewables, people who can really help that company make the change that's needed. So if we get to the point where we're engaging companies and we can't make progress, then it's time to be under new leadership. And we've demonstrated with Exxon, by bringing 3 new directors in, that this can be done. It should be done, it must be done when we don't make progress. Now, I think this is actually quite poignant because I'm old enough to remember the Exxon Valdez oil spill in Prince William Sound, 1989, just over 30 years ago. And that's when investors gathered around this disaster, bringing oil to Long Beach, California, actually, and I'm in California right now. But the Valdez principles were developed, calling for environmental responsibility. That then evolved into the Coalition for Environmentally Responsible Economies and Societies. Yeah, it sounds familiar. Ceres, Roman goddess of the harvest. So the win this season at Exxon really, I feel, brings CalPERS vision full circle. Not just to be talking about what needs to happen, but showing how we get the job done.
That's really impressive. And where you sit at CalPERS, what is the unique role that pension funds play in this movement?
Well, pension funds, first of all, are very long term. We're investing at CalPERS for generations to come. So therefore, when we're looking into the future, issues like climate change are absolutely vital to our ability to pay those pensions sustainably. You know, for every dollar we pay out in pensions, more than 50 cents comes from investments. So that means for our 2 million members, they need to know that their money's safe and sound. They also need to know that money will grow. And the way that we can do that, keeping it safe and sound, is by addressing climate risk. Because the threats to the financial system from climate risk are evident and obvious. The opportunities there as well, both for investment returns, also for job creation, and for improving quality of life for everybody who's relying on a pension fund. And think about this. When CalPERS is gathering in the savings from our members and from their employers, they include the firefighters and the first responders, for example, who are on the front line of climate change. So we're not just thinking for investment reasons, we have to get this done. We do. It's part of our fiduciary duty. But this is also making sure that by reducing greenhouse gas emissions, by tackling climate change or making climate change history, as you rightly say, something we look back on with horror, but also relief that we've got through it. Those firefighters on the front line fighting the wildfires, we're protecting their pension. But all of us, ultimately, we're protecting our communities. And pension funds are our common wealth. This is the savings for the hardworking people in many, many places around the world. So we need to make sure that we harness that common wealth for the common good. And if we do it well, that's how we're going to generate the returns. Let's also make sure that pensioners have got the retirement benefits to take care of them in their old age or when they're ill and they need health care.
Well, we are certainly lucky to have you alongside us, Anne. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and thank you so much for your amazing leadership.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for everything Ceres does. We couldn't do it without you.
Well, if advocacy is a love story, to paraphrase Alyssa Milano, then tonight's final speaker is our story's protagonist. Around here, she needs no introduction, just her first name. So we asked a special friend to help us pay tribute to our fearless leader, Mindy. Let's take a look.
Many of you know Mindy Luber as the pioneering leader of Ceres. She launched the first ever Global Investor Summit on climate risk in 2003. She spearheaded the first ever roadmap for corporate sustainability and established the first ever network of consumer brands to advocate for climate policy. You know her as a change maker, a visionary, a champion. Mindy gets things done. She always has. Whether it's stepping up for public service, helping lead a presidential campaign, putting her values first, or gracing the cover of Waste Dynamics Northeast. The early makings of a champion were unmistakable. Even in her youth, Mindy was always busy working her phone. After getting her business and law degrees, Mindy took the path less traveled, devoting the next decade of her life to advocacy. Thankfully, that path also led to Norman Stein, and two of the biggest reasons that Mindy fights for a sustainable future, Abe and Jesse. Mindy has always been ahead of her time. In the 1990s, she launched the National Environmental Law Center and then founded Green Century Capital Management. As EPA Regional Administrator, she led an initiative to curb pesticides and pollution that caused childhood asthma. Then she made her boldest move.
I joined Ceres because I believe that Ceres' unique model for change to galvanize the private sector was and still is one of the most important levers to reverse this trajectory. Following my years as a regulator, this was the right place.
Today, the ideas that Mindy has championed for so long have come a long way. From the investor and corporate support that helped pass the Paris Agreement, to the world's largest investor coalition in Climate Action 100, to the new Ceres Accelerator for Sustainable Capital Markets. No wonder the United Nations named Mindy a champion of the earth. She's a true champion. She's our champion. Please join me in welcoming Mindy Luber.
Ted, thank you. That was humbling. That warm introduction really is something I'll remember forever. And thank you all for being here with us. Even virtually, I can feel the power of our community. Tonight is a night for celebration of what we have accomplished together. We're making progress. Ceres' mission of integrating sustainability into capital markets is taking hold, finally. And we heard tonight how the largest corporations are starting to value water. Financial regulators are beginning to transform our capital markets. Investors around the world are moving companies to bring down their carbon emissions. And the climate movement is the largest it has ever been, and it is growing more powerful every day. And we are seeing bold commitments and technological breakthroughs that will speed a just transition to a clean energy future. Our momentum gives me hope, much hope. But as we all know, our climate is unraveling faster than our will to act. Scientists have said loud and clear that we must cut our emissions in half by 2030 to avoid catastrophic global warming. Our house is actually on fire, and we simply do not have time for debate or delay. All eyes are on you, our leaders, to see what you will do next to save our planet, our economy, and our children's future. So how can we make climate change history? You can each take two essential steps. First, you must raise your voices and raise your ambition. And second, match that ambition with urgent action. Raising ambition starts with using your influence in Washington. Stand up and join us right now in passing policies that decarbonize our power sector, electrify our transportation, and even put a price on carbon. Urgent action starts with putting specific plans in place, plans that allow us to achieve the net zero commitments you have each made. We need you to set transparent, science-based targets that dramatically reduce your footprint all the way through to your supply chain, and to do so in the short term. Economists say the world needs to invest $3.5 trillion each year for the next 3 decades to transform every sector of our economy. That's an investment in a future where every person has access to clean water, clean air, and the benefits of a sustainable economy. To accomplish this, the financial system and regulators who govern it must make climate risk a part of every financial decision. And we need to recognize that to reach the Paris goals, there is no room for new investments in fossil fuels. I know you know this, I know you care, and I know you want change. Alyssa Milano reminded us so beautifully this evening why we are all committed to this movement. From Kosovo to Flint, every living being on this planet is bound together in this existential crisis and in its solutions. History has its eyes on us. This is our moment to act. Together, let us meet this challenge with the pace and the scale that we truly need. Let us make climate change history together. Thank you.
If you have a drink at hand, time to grab it. If it's our signature cocktail or mocktail, even better.
Mine's a Merlot.
Same. And if you don't have a drink, join me in raising your hand.
Here's to choosing a just and sustainable future for the people and the world we love.
Salud.
Cheers. In just a moment, Jacob Bryan Smith will close our broadcast with another original song. But right now, it's my privilege to invite you to join us to make a contribution to Ceres. A dear friend has offered Ceres $100,000 to match any gifts we receive tonight. Please help us reach that amount. Go to your computer, your phone, any way you choose to give. As Mindy said, now is the time to act, and we need your help. If you agree that we want future generations to inherit a better world, lean in now. History truly has its eyes on us, and together, we can make climate change history.
Thanks for joining us, thanks for supporting us, and thanks for all you do to build a better world. Take it away, Jake.
Never give up. I know that the world is a scary place, but enough is enough. It's time that we look it right in the face and know the time is coming. Our hearts are thumping. We're ready for change. You're not alone. We're all busy doing the best we can. So while you're at home, why not start to formulate a plan? 'Cause the time is coming, the beat is drumming. We're ready for change. So don't stop it now. We're close and we'll figure it out. Recall what this all is about. You know you don't need any doubt. And when the time is right, it might be tonight. Could be the start of your life. So get ready to fight with all of your might. When the time is right, when the time is right, you'll look shiny and bright. 'Cause you worked all in spite, waiting for the time to be right. But the time will be right when the time is right. Never let go. For all that we know, we can do it now. While we're watching a show, we can all be thinking how, because the time is coming. I'm raring and gunning and I'm ready for change. Oh, there's a series of events that led us to here, but now the series we need is looking all clear. And I know we'll be fine, and I know we'll be good in time. So tonight, right, when the time is right, you'll look shiny and bright, 'cause you worked all inside, waiting for the time to be right. But the time will be right when the time